to another edition of Ask Ashley. This is a series that I started so that some of my customers could write in and ask their questions and I could answer them more in depth with an actual video instead of just emailing back a canned response. So I'm going to read the question first and then I will go ahead and give you my advice. Okay, the question is, how do you get it all done and keep clean and organized and have time for what matters while homeschooling and still being a loving mother? I'm currently working through your course. I think she's probably talking about the Smart Kids Chore System or Home CEO, not really sure. I'm currently working through the course, so maybe it answers these questions. I also don't know if it addresses routines for cleaning as far as daily, weekly, monthly, etc. I have struggled with this since being married. I didn't learn growing up and kept having babies, and now we have 8. Okay, so first of all, I want to say you're not alone. The majority of us were not taught how to do this, which I think is a real shame. We for whatever reason, we weren't taught. And I'm not sure if that is our mothers didn't teach us, and maybe their mothers didn't teach them, maybe they learned in school, or the schools didn't teach us. I had home economics for 2 years when I was in junior high, so I feel like that's more than most people get. But, you know, it set me up well for learning how to do a menu plan and do a balanced meal. But in terms of like managing a full home with people in it, you know, that just, maybe that was in the high school level and we moved. My home economics course was in Pennsylvania, and then we moved to Virginia when I was in high school. So maybe I would have gotten the full education in Pennsylvania. Not to get off on a tangent, but the Virginia schools were so much worse than the Pennsylvania schools. It's actually embarrassing. So, but back to this. Okay, so don't feel bad because nobody learned how to do this. All of us that are in this, I'm 40, I turned 41 in a few days, and I didn't learn. I was fortunate enough to have a mother who was a stay-at-home mom. And so I feel like I did learn more at home than most did, but I mean, I went to public school, and so I was away from the home for the majority of the day, and then there were sports and everything afterwards. So what I'm trying to say is most of us have no clue what we're doing, and we're all just trying to do the best that we can. Now, with all of that being said, sorry, I'm outside and the chickens are going a little bit crazy. Okay, with that being said, that's not a reason to just say, well, you know, I never learned as a kid, so I, you know, it is what it is. And that's not what you're trying to do. Obviously, you want to do better. What I will say is all of this, running a home, it's built on habits. And habits are built one at a time. So you can't wake up one morning and just be a new person. And in order to go from running your home or not running your home effectively to running your home like a well-oiled machine, it is going to take time, lots of time, which is discouraging for most people. And that's why most people never actually get to the point where they are running their home well, is because they're not willing to put in the time. They're not willing to celebrate the small wins and then build on those. So I'm not sure which course you're going through, if you're going through Smart Kids Chores or if you're going through Home CEO. But Home CEO is really the course that teaches you how to strategize properly in your home and how to build those habits, those small habits, one by one. Because this is something that I've said a lot. Housekeeping is just habits, and that's all that it is. In the same way that we brush our teeth every day, in the same way that hopefully we shower and change our clothes every day, it's a habit, and you have to build the habit. So, you know, when you have a lot of kids, the best way to do that is to get the kids on board, because the kids are they are mess makers. I'm not saying that I'm not a mess maker and that my husband isn't a mess maker. Like, we have our own fair share. I think I've shared many times that one of my worst habits is leaving my shoes all over the house. and that's something that I'm working on, but I still do it. But, we've got to get our kids on board and realize, I think that people expect for children just to be able to master this stuff in a week. And the truth of the matter is it takes years, in the same way that it takes us years. We can't expect our children to do something that we are not ourselves doing. And so it's one of those things, like, you have to determine that you are going to be a good home manager. And then you have to determine that you're also going to make sure that one day your children are good home managers. And in order to do that, you just have to do the work. Now, I will say that it's really, really important to me personally. I don't want my house to be sparkling clean at the expense of my children. Meaning, I am not willing to lose my temper over a mess, because my children's hearts are more important to me than a clean house. But I also will say that doesn't mean you can't have both. It doesn't mean that you cannot be a cheerful, lovely person to be around and still have a beautiful home. I think that thinking that it's one or the other is falling in a ditch. And it's not wise. It's not cute either. There is a meme going around Instagram talking about how, the kitchen's a disaster and the floor is sticky and all of this stuff. And that's because I love my kids. It's like, no, sweetie, you're not loving your kids. Now, you can be a clean freak, you can be a neat freak, and also be short-tempered with your kids. And I would honestly say, in my opinion, I think if you have a messy and disorderly home, it means you have a messy and disorderly life, which translates to messy and disorderly emotions. I personally think it's easier to keep your cool as a mom if your home is in order. I think that our environments, and also I think that for kids, it's easier for them to, sorry, I'm motioning with my hands a lot today. It's easier for our kids to order their own emotions if their environment is ordered. So, I feel like I'm just going off on a rant here, but what I will say is you have to get your attitude in order first. You have to determine that you're not going to lose your temper with your kids for doing the same things that they see their own mother doing. You have to determine that you are going to teach them patiently, and that you are going to do the work necessary to make sure that they do their work, and that you're also going to do the work necessary to ensure that you do your own work. We have to learn as moms and as people how to exercise self-discipline over ourselves. We have to learn to do the things that we don't want to do but that need to be done. And you mentioned in your question, how do you get everything done, the mothering and the homeschooling and the housework and all of those things. And it's order of priorities. For me, this past weekend, I spent a lot of time prepping curriculum ahead of time and making sure that I had everything ready for Monday. I also made sure that my home was clean. I made sure that I knew what I was serving for breakfast. I was planning ahead to have the best possible day, because I'm going to be really honest, homeschooling is not easy for me. I'm not a natural teacher. I'm working really hard to get better at it because I want to be a good teacher. But for me, that means streamlining things as much as possible before. So I would say if you have not gone through Home CEO yet, start there. It's a great course. And even if you've gone through it once, go through it again. It's supposed to be gone through in a month. There's 5 videos for 4 weeks, 1 video each day. And it's just a great way to get a foundation of good habits laid. That's step 1. I have all of my different cleaning schedules and checklists and, deep cleaning and decluttering and organizing and all of that stuff in my home management binder that I sell in the store. I'll leave the link for that below. But no binder, no checklist is going to do you any good if you don't learn to make it a habit and do it daily. I've said this before, in my courses, it is so much easier to keep a clean house clean than it is to clean a dirty house. And that is so true. So I don't know if it's in the budget, but if it's in the budget and your house is kind of a mess and you're just totally overwhelmed, you know, if you can hire a cleaning company to come in and give you a fresh start, I think that that is a fantastic way to go about it. And then you just have to worry about keeping it up. Or, you know, if you're just in a really busy season with homeschooling and lots of little kids and you can afford it, why not have them come in every week or every 2 weeks if you can afford it? You know, not everybody can do that. And, you know, especially with the way the economy is right now and the way the grocery prices are absolutely through the roof. But if that is something that you can afford, do it, and do it without guilt. Be happy and thankful and take it as a lifeline. Because it is. I've had that in my own house, on and off throughout the years. And it's always a tremendous blessing. So if you're able to do that, then do it. Even if you're able to just have them in once to give you a clean, fresh start, then do that. If you can't afford that, then that's okay. You know, I have a bunch of resources for, you know, starting from a disaster, and you can use those. It's just going to take a lot of self-discipline. It's going to take the building of habits over years, and it is going to have to take basically an indomitable spirit. Like, I am going to do this. I am going to become a good manager. Nothing is going to stop me, but I'm still going to do it as a cheerful mom, making a pleasant, happy home for my family. So I hope that answers your questions. If you have any other follow-up questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and I'm happy to answer those. But hopefully this was helpful in some way. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe and leave a comment below. Let me know how you felt about this advice. Do you have any other advice for a mom with lots of kids homeschooling who's having trouble building these habits? Feel free to leave that in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.